Okay. First episode of Demasked.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is fun. Where are we? Where are we? This is
Uh,
a weird
I
looking,
think the lovely
spooky place.
people at Hellscream Entertainment allowed us to use their space.
Heck yeah.
So,
Thank you guys. Thank you for all of their spooky creatures and sets for
yeah.
things. We should move our sets each week.
Oh, yeah. That'd be
Ooh,
cool. We have so many
we
options
do. We do.
between here and Hellscream.
So what do you do here
Uh,
besides podcasting?
yeah. So my name
Yeah,
is
who are you?
Chris, and I got started in the haunted house industry when I was, I think, 13 or 14. So this upcoming year is my, I think, 13th year or something
Oh
like
wow.
that. And the reason I got started was because I grew up in a small town, and the rec district had a haunted house, and they were looking for actors, and that's kind of how I got involved in it.
Oh nice.
And I've done it every year since. Currently, I act at Hellscream. I do what's called running. You basically, my job is to make sure the customer doesn't run into the group in front of them, or the people behind them doesn't run into them. And if that does happen, my job is to either separate you or entertain you. So
Heck yeah.
it's always 100% on all the time.
That's fun. That sounds real fun.
What about you, Mr. Wizzo?
Well, I am Wizzo. I have been haunting, holy crap, since 99, so this will be year 24. Yeah, 24. So off and on, just in and out of haunts. I started at a big amusement park out in Cincinnati, Ohio, and kind of went from there. I started off as a slider. I walked in, I was a rollerblader, and they looked at me. They were like, "You look like you could do this," and I was like, "Sure, why not?" So I did that for a couple years, then went into the house, did that stuff, worked a handful of like weirdo haunts, did some other big haunts along the way. If I wasn't working in a haunt, I was helping build a haunt or design a haunt or design costumes for people that were working a haunt that year. Um, and then now here at Hellscream, I think this will be my fifth season here. So I'll be out in the queue line this year for partial of the year. Inside the house, running, helping the runners out, hanging out in some of the rooms that maybe somebody might not be too comfortable in, and they're not knowing what to do. I'm gonna jump in and be like, hey, let's try this. Maybe do a team scare with them here and there, and if it works, then maybe hit the runner up and let them know like, hey, they might work a little better with a team scare. Run in there every once in a while, hit them, do something. Um, I don't know. And then I'm gonna be out of town for the middle part of the season, guest acting at some haunts out in Iowa, Nebraska, and Oklahoma.
That's cool. Yeah. Being part of a runner and being real experienced is helping out the not experienced actors or the actors that might be struggling. You got to get in there and um, show them some techniques and really work with them. Because I get it. It's hard. It's not, especially if we get people from theater
Yeah,
that are used to something that's scripted. You
that
know,
that's what I've noticed is the biggest or the hardest transition for a lot of the theater kids is to take that, hey, you are this thing and you're saying these things and giving them freedom, and they're like, wait a minute, oh, I can do this. And you're like, yeah, build a character. Well, I don't know how. Okay, well, let's and then as an older veteran actor, you can kind of guide them, and they can even show you a few things while you're showing them some stuff. Because I know I'm picking up stuff almost every year. I'm like, wait a minute, that's what are you doing over there? That's kind of neat.
right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's part of the fun is picking up new things, always learning on the fly. Seems like every night come up with some new crazy thing to say.
Right? Um, that I remember one challenge. Do you remember the challenge that we had the one night with whoever had the most memorable saying, got like a candy bar or something at the end of the
Yeah,
night?
I think I do
And
remember
I
that.
think that's where Wizzo created his face waffles, was because he was trying to think of something. I was trying to think of something completely off the wall, and was like face waffles. It didn't win, but it's been
But it
Wizzo's
worked.
thing since. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Sometimes you just come up with the weirdest shit to tell people.
Right? And you're like, what do you, no? Okay, fine.
Yeah,
And then you get
yeah.
disappointed if they're not as enthusiastic about it as you are. And you're like, man,
You're like, come on, people, get with it.
yeah.
But yeah, this is something, I love this industry. I look forward to it all year round. It's
Right? It is. It's one of the most exciting holidays. You get to dress up, be a weirdo. You get to be a goofball. If you're already a weirdo and a goofball and you hide it, you don't have to anymore. You get to just express it and run around, and nobody really says much the entire month, you know?
yeah, that's a great thing. You get to be a complete psychopath for like a month and a half, and
Right?
it's just like,
Nobody's calling the cops on you at that point.
yeah. I remember pretty early in my like culinary career, I was doing haunt stuff, and at the time we were using mass casualty, which I'm sure everyone out there knows what that is. Um, and it gets everywhere. And it dyed my hands. And I remember the executive chef was like, my nickname was Krusty at the time. He goes, Krusty, come here. And I was like, what, chef? He's like, "Oh, what's on your hand?" I was like, it's this stuff called mass casualty. It's really hard to get off.
That's always fun to try and explain. Or you're having a conversation with one of your haunt friends at, like, let's say, IHOP. And a nice family sits down behind you, and you guys get into haunt talk, and you're talking about innards and blood splatter and what kind of blood works best for different things. And the family just looks at you and goes, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And you have to explain, "No, ma'am. Do you like haunted houses? So we work at one, and this is what we do."
Yeah.
Yeah, it tends to not go over so well
Yeah, it's
sometimes.
it's weird. Yeah, I find that with coworkers as well. You start talking about haunting, and they're like, I don't know what to say
Like, "Are you
because
sure?"
yeah, there's like like I swear I'm not crazy.
I
Just
promise it's not real. It's fake blood. It's fake bodies. It's I promise.
right, but yeah, anytime I talk about it with someone who doesn't know anything about the haunted house industry, or maybe they've only never been to a haunted house in their life, I always get super excited about it because it's something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, it's super fun. It's like I said, you get to be something different and new, and you get fans along the way. And it sounds stupid, but you do. You get certain ones that come back every single year to your haunt just to see you, or just to see that other character that's doing that one weird thing that they don't normally see on a regular basis, or they saw it in a movie and they're all of a sudden, "Oh man, this is a real life person doing that. They're amazing," and you start to get fans, and
Yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's some people that come through the haunt every year, and there's one year where I did an ape human character, and some of the people at the haunt named him Jumanji, and I talked to a banana like it was real, and I named it Brittany, and then I'd get people to say like, I'd be like, say hi to Brittany, and they'd be like, hi, and I'd be like, no, it's Brianna. And so there's certain people who recognize like my acting style and stuff that'll come through. They're like, it's Brittany, no Brianna. And so then I end up arguing with them about that, even though it's like I've played so many different characters.
Right.
So,
That's fun. That's fun. What kind of character are you planning on playing this year?
so it's gonna be another spin on. So this year I'm gonna be a dual personality. I have a mask that has my regular face, and on the back of the mask is another face. It's a little bit messed up, and it's the doctor and a mental patient personality clash.
Ooh,
And the front side, the front character, so my actual talking side, is named Jonathan, and the back side of the character is named Abigail, which is a nod to one of the greatest heavy metal albums of all time, King Diamond's Abigail, which
nice,
is a
nice.
lovely album, and King Diamond is a heavy metal legend.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, it's a nod. I don't think
If
anybody,
if you haven't checked it out, check it out.
yeah, I don't think anybody last year got that nod, but
I'm
it's
in
a,
for it. I
yeah,
like it.
yeah. The metal's a very deep, dark hole for me.
Yeah. Are you thinking about adding anything new to the costume itself, or just
Yeah. So I want to get double-sided shoes, so it looks like no
excellent?
matter where you're looking, even if you're looking at my feet, it still looks like I'm looking at you from the backside.
Hell
I
yeah.
think that really freaks people out as a runner because sometimes you're in the crowd.
Yeah.
You have to get in between people and be comfortable. I know we always say a hand's length, but sometimes as a runner, that's just not
Yeah, we
realistic
don't
to do
have
your
that.
job.
Yeah, that's not a thing sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel that. I was the chainsaw guy for a couple years, and they're like, "Make sure you're arm distance away," and I'm like, "No, thank you. That's completely impossible in a tiny confined
Yeah.
space and a chainsaw."
Yeah, and that that works for, less experienced actors and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and some of the women and stuff like that, because it seems like most of the time if a customer's acting some type of way, it's towards the women who act with us, which
Yeah,
is
and I don't understand because half the women would probably take half our men.
yeah,
And I'm like, "You're messing with the wrong chicks. Like
yeah,
they're
which,
pretty
which
tough."
is real unfortunate when someone like me or yourself comes around the corner and that
Yeah.
attitude totally changes.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I wasn't saying anything wrong. I was being real cool." Uh-huh, sure you were.
Yeah.
Let's take a walk,
Yeah.
and
I'm watching you.
you have a nice little monster conversation.
Yeah. About plucking your eyeballs out.
Yeah. They feel a little weird and tingly on the side. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun.
Weird and tingly.
Yeah.
Wizzo, I know you're doing another spin on your character this year, so
Yeah, so so Wizzo is an imaginary friend, and I try to switch up the character at least every year or partially through the year, just to kind of give it a different feel, a different kid imagining Wizzo and a different, more either a more aggressive Wizzo or a more playful Wizzo, but always Wizzo nonetheless. So this year, I think I'm going to start the season off as my last year Wizzo, straight jacket, kind of crazy Victorian-ish clown kind of look. He was based off of a Jack in the Box last year, so I'm going to start the year off with that. And like I said earlier, I'm going to be doing some traveling out to some other haunts, and it's going to be a time zone an hour ahead of Colorado. So to Wizzo, he's time traveling into the future. So he's going to go post-apocalyptic, and when I'm out there, I'm going to do a couple different versions, some older versions of Wizzo, the current version, the straight jacket and stuff, and then I'm going to take my punk rock clown version, and then I'm going to do the post-apocalyptic as well, as to where he's kind of glitching through time. And then when I return to Hellscream at the end of the year, he's going to go ahead and be his post-apocalyptic version again. So I'm working on a whole new backstory for it. Not a whole new backstory, but an addition to his backstory. Um, Currently working on his body armor at home. I got that all laid out. Just finished some other like the smaller detail stuff. Debating on what kind of cloth to put in the mask. So I'm like, got a few more steps, but he's getting there.
for sure. Oh yeah, on the backside of my mask, last year I had a prop mouse in there.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever seen that or
I
not, but
did, and
I
I loved
nicknamed
it.
yeah, nicknamed him Michael Myers. I lost him by the end of the haunt season,
Oh
but
no.
what I'm thinking is maybe using some mask glue or something like that to actually glue it into place,
Oh yeah.
so I don't have to worry about it
Try
slipping out.
E6000.
Yeah,
It sticks to literally everything. That's why how half of Wizzo is put together this year.
yeah, and I know some of those, silicone masks. You have to be real
Yeah.
careful with the material, the glue and stuff you use on those because it'll eat at the material.
Yeah.
So
That's
uh,
always that's always
I
fun when
always
you
enjoyed
use.
the mask. I used to be a makeup person
Yeah.
when I first, started doing haunted house stuff. I hated masks, but
Same.
uh, so basically what happened is the first time I got stuck in a mask was like a cheap one you got from Spirit Halloween,
Great.
and those are made to go to like parties and take on and off, not for you to run around for 4, 5, 6 hours, and
So fun secret about spirit masks. That's what I use for Wizzo's face.
yeah.
I just chop off the top. I'll use Flex Seal, about 2 or 3 coats of Flex Seal on the inside to stiffen it back up. I'll do 1 coat on the outside, and then I'll start spray painting and painting and everything. Do another coat of the Flex Seal on the inside and outside just to give it that extra stern, firm grip, and then boom, I've got a mask for at least a season.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. Now the latex ones, like the flimsy ones, there ain't no way in hell. There's no
You're
saving those things. Those things are trash.
yeah,
But the thin plastic ones, I've found a couple of them actually have worked pretty well over the past.
as a base.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, and that makes sense. Yeah, mine was one of the cheap like plastic latex
Yep.
ones and I was like, man, never again. And then I think it was Jesse, I think it was Jesse, was like, "Yeah, we've got, you should try this, because we're backlogged on makeup and all that stuff." And I was like, "All right, I'll give it a try." And I ended up falling in love with it because the cleanup's easy at the end of the night
Yeah.
when you're dragging ass tired,
Yeah,
from
there's some good companies and there's some pretty shit companies.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, my beard gets in the way a lot with real masks, so I'm like, I think I'll just stick with a cheap one that I can modify for now, and
Yeah.
if I ever lose my sanity and chop off my whole beard, then I'll
Yeah,
go
see,
latex.
I always shaved my mustache or beard for haunt season for that
Yeah.
reason, and I was like, always got to make sure I'm clean shaven for that.
Yeah, see, ever since I got here in Colorado, I started doing like little braids, and I was like, man, this is kind of cool. And then I started doing bigger and bigger braids, and I was like, I'm just gonna keep braiding my hair, and I like the look of like the look of clowns with beards, and I'm like, yeah, but you guys got fake ones, I got a real one, So it's kind of like and I really don't like clowns all that much. I
Right,
just like that's why I'm imaginary,
right.
So I'm like,
Well,
my beard's
when you
real,
think about
homie.
it, like in like horror movies and stuff like that, there's not really that many clowns with beards
Right.
when you really think about it.
Yeah, so like if you got a psycho running around, it gives it a little more of that realistic feel. Like, hold
Right.
on, that guy don't have a bright colored beard, so it's not fake. Oh shit, that is a guy in a mask, and he's gonna come and okay, he might kill me. So it gives you that false sense of reality a little bit, where they're
Yeah.
like, is he really real? Did he drink too much today? Is he angry?
Is he angry?
Like is he angry at all of us?
This
Is he coming for us?
yeah, is he legitimately gonna kill us all?
Yeah, like he looked like he just got some clothes out of the closet and he's coming. Like, wait, why?
Yeah.
That's what I like. I like that aspect of character sometimes, where it's a little more realistic. Where you're like, did this guy seriously just climb out of a dumpster and he's coming at me with a knife? Like, I don't want him to stab me. It's got asbestos
I
on it.
mean, that's kind of what we're trying to achieve, though, is the blur between reality and,
Yeah,
and that's why we don't want people on their phones and stuff. Is like, like you have that out, it gives you the safety and
yeah,
it breaks the illusion.
exactly.
It's like the same reason when you go see a movie, you don't want people on their phone. It's the most annoying thing.
Yeah, you want that 30 minutes of your haunt to be a 30-minute movie. You don't want it to be 30 minutes of
Right.
well, there's that guy.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
there's that guy. There's that lady.
Yeah.
You know.
Me and my girlfriend, we went to go see some stand up comedy here at the local comedy club on Friday night, I think it was, and there's this guy sitting in front of us. His screen was dim, but still, he was on his phone for a good 20 minutes of the show, and I was like, I want to slap this guy so
I
hard.
don't understand that. Why even go? Why see the stuff? Just
Yeah, well, and from a venue policy for something like that, I'm like, fucking kick the guy out.
yeah.
It's, it's disrespectful to the performer,
I actually had
It's
to kick a guy out at the club that I work at for being on his phone during a performance and not sitting down. So I immediately was like, "Hey, let's not be right here and scream at people because you're standing up on your phone."
yeah,
So I
it's
totally get that. Yeah.
yeah,
And if you see it in a haunt, you're like, "Oh, well, there goes my whole experience."
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it hurt. It really affects the people around you.
Yeah.
Especially if you come on a busier night. You know,
Speaking of that, what else besides phones drives you nuts or breaks your experience if when you go through a haunt as a customer?
for me,
Yeah.
something that really bothers me when I go through as a customer, um, actors that are not totally into it. As a haunt actor myself, I'm really sensitive to that.
Mm,
And you can tell if someone's really not into the character.
right.
Chris Hurst, a good friend of the haunts. He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
Um,
Real good guy.
I remember when I first started, you know, we used to do vocal warm ups and stuff like that. And he was always telling people, and still to this day, he'll tell people, act, don't be the, like, don't act the character, be the character.
Yeah.
And, I think that goes a long ways in whatever you're doing, whether that be haunted house acting or stage acting or, even just whatever you're doing.
Yeah, I mean that can even be applied to sports and things of every nature, really. I mean, if you're gonna do it, do it. Like just go do that thing. Like be it. If you're playing football, be the champion. Don't be the bench guy.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to be the haunter, be the character, not the guy dressed up in a costume. You
Right.
know, that again loses the illusion.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. And then yeah, I guess that's my biggest pet peeve. What about yourself?
um, I hate when one piece of the character doesn't match. So if you're, let's say, a couple years ago at one of our volunteer haunts out here, we had walked through, and one of the actresses had their nails painted green, like bright green, like a neon green, and
Oh
they were
wow.
supposed to be a scarecrow. And I immediately, as soon as I seen those nails, I was like, "That's not what scarecrows have. I'm done." And I was shut off, and that was the third room of the house.
Wow.
And I was like, "Wow, that took that fast for me to ruin the entire experience and not want to see anything else because that one character had that one thing." So like nails, if your hair, if you're a doctor, and I know like the haunt industry has always said, if you don't have pants or shoes, just wear black. No, then you're a floating body in a dark room. Haunted houses are dark. We're not lit up. So now you're just a floating torso? No, that's stupid. Match your character. If you're a doctor, go get some damn scrub pants. Go get some blue ones, some white ones, some green ones. They have tons of them. Go to Walmart. Go to your local thrift store.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Match your character. If you're a doctor, you don't need to wear black shoes. How many
Right.
doctors do you see wearing all black shoes? Hardly any. They wear gym shoes because they're
Yeah.
always walking and running.
Comfortable.
So wear some comfortable shoes. You know, match that character. If you're a zombie, you don't have to be in boots. Not all zombies wear boots. What do? Change their shoes? No. They're wearing regular stuff. They're going to their job. They're going to school. They're coming home from picking up the kids at soccer. The moms are going to be
Right.
disheveled. Make them look normal, you know?
Yeah.
That's probably
For
the one thing that drives me completely insane is that you don't match your character.
right. Right. Yeah. And for a while there, I had the nickname of Casual Business Zombie Number One. And Andrew gave me that nickname because I think it was a year or two. I was like this zombie, but I wore a casual business suit, like I was going to work.
Nice.
So yeah, and I did door scare at that time before runners were even really a thing here
Mm.
at Hellscream, and basically I was the first haunt in the scare, so I set the tone,
Oh,
you
nice.
know, and so I'd be like banging on the door while they're doing like the rules and stuff like that, and then I'd
Yeah.
get out and go harass them down the hallway. But yeah, I was casual business zombie number one, and I had a tie that had a face on it. I found like I don't even remember, I think I maybe found it at like a thrift store or something like
Right.
that, and I was like, this would be great, you know. So I named the tie Timothy.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I have a habit for naming things I act with.
I too do the same thing. I currently had just added a fur piece to my shoulder on the new Wizzo armor, and it's got a little penguin on there. And I have named him Mateo, and Wizzo will call him Matt, and they will have arguments over the name and what they are actually doing. But he is Wizzo's sergeant at arms because he's on his arm.
That's really cool
Yeah.
because I feel like you don't see a lot of people talking. It really freaks people out when you're arguing with yourself
Yeah.
about.
And they're like, wait, is he? No, he's not talking. Who's he talking? Why is he? Oh, he's talking. Oh, that's not
Yeah,
a real thing. And he's okay.
yeah. Especially as someone who does a split personality with two different voices, it really freaks people out when I start contradicting myself in front
Yes.
of them and being like,
I currently have a puppet that I had made for a competition I was in, a haunters competition. And one of the rounds I had made a hand puppet, and I call him Little Wiz. And Lil Wiz is his own personality, his own entity. He does burlesque shows. He's a hoot. And I went to Oklahoma City HorrorCon just recently, and got while I was there, I was walking around with Little Wiz, and we were talking back and forth. We had a whole argument about him being rude to people. We had conversations about or two people about pictures. It was a great time, and it's just one of those things that I really didn't think was going to be a hit, but apparently a hand puppet is pretty awesome for those guys, and they're just like, yeah, I like it. Keep doing
yeah,
the hand puppet. I'm like, all right, let's do it.
that's cool. Yeah, I wish there, see more creative stuff like that, and I think that's part of the thing is just being creative.
Yeah, like recently I seen a guy, I forget where he's from. I want to say Alabama or out east or southern. But he has a teddy bear that he had cut the inside out and he puts it on as a mask. And he's got the teeth and everything on the belly of the bear. And when he lifts up the bear, he's got another face underneath. So it's a completely different look. And it's just like one of the coolest things. And I'm like, man, that's so dumb, but it's so cool. Like you just take your little helmet off and you have a whole nother mask underneath. Like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. Must be hot though if you got a mask on top of a mask. I cannot.
I can only imagine
Yeah,
he's got to be outside or in an air conditioned room or something. But I'm just like, there ain't no way.
yeah, because we both.
I definitely wouldn't be wearing both for a long period of time.
Yeah, we both know it gets unbearably hot.
Yeah, I like I said, I wear like a little quarter mask, and I'm ready to die. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't understand how people wear full latex and all
yeah,
this other
like
stuff. And I'm like,
myself.
yeah, like I see you guys come out at the end of the night, and you guys are sweating, and I'm dying. I'm like, man, this is crazy. I'm glad I don't wear one of those. I would
Yeah,
die.
yeah, yeah. I wear knee pads as well, and I usually wear them over my pants
Yeah,
just because it's nicer that way. It's more comfortable that way. But yeah, my whole knee area on those pants would just be stained in sweat.
I
It's
I
the nastiest thing.
I'm not looking forward to this season. I'm wearing a little more clothes than I normally do, and I'm wearing some knee pads, one on the knee and one below the knee, one to help my knee mostly. But yeah, that's something I'm not looking forward to is the shower of sweat at the end of the night. Like,
Yeah, it's when you bend over to take a drink of water and the sweat's dripping out your mouth hole.
yeah.
You're sweating a lot.
I used to carry a spare rag with me, and every once in a while I'd pull my Wizzo mask out and I'd like wipe all the sweat away, and then I'd put it back, and yeah, it was terrible. It's just it's a bad time.
It sounds like a great time though.
I mean, it is because you're haunting and you don't think about it, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna drink my sweat real quick. Oh no,
Yeah, I think sometimes that's just part of the gig is the nastiness of it,
yeah,
because we don't have time to wash our costumes every night,
no, and
you
that's
know.
and that's a good point to bring up. Febreze is amazing for that because we can't wash them every single night or much at all because of certain parts
Right.
or components that we've added or stitching that might bust or something.
Right.
But Febreze is a magical tool that you can get at the dollar store for one whole dollar, and it keeps your friends happy and the customers excited to smell a new thing.
Yeah.
Not
We won't we won't we've all been with those actors who it's like, bro, you got to
uh-huh.
wear some deodorant or
You're like,
something
all right, come
because
on, you smell like feet. Let's
yeah, we've all been there,
just real quick.
I'm sure we all smell like shit by the end of the night,
Oh,
but
of course.
sometimes
I actually, so 2 seasons ago, this is why I started to get room mist. 2 seasons ago, I was out in the line and I was playing around with some people, and I hadn't washed my costume for the night before, and it was at the beginning of the night, so I thought I was still good, and I was like, all right, I don't smell like a chainsaw yet. This is great. And I went up, and one of the customers looked at me, and she was like, you stink. And and I immediately was like, felt like crap. And I was like, man, this is terrible. So I went back in the back and I started like smelling myself. And she was right. I smelled like gasoline and sweat. And I was like, man, this is horrible. So I started the next morning. I went and I got room mist, and I started spraying myself with room mist every night. So as soon as I left for haunt, I would spray myself about 4 or 5 times with the room mist, and then when I got home that night, I would spray it again. And then at the end of the weekend, I would go ahead and wash all my stuff. But yeah, room mist is a very good one. Febreze definitely works. Deodorant is always helpful. Sometimes
yeah,
it's not as
sometimes
helpful as we would like, but
I know there's also a lot of us that come right from our day jobs,
yeah,
come do that, myself included, and I work in a hot kitchen all day.
yeah.
So
See, it's
sometimes
almost
it's like,
inevitable. You're just like,
yeah, and sometimes by the time I get there, I smell like whatever I was cooking that day, pizza or
yeah,
whatever
I
eggs.
mean, there's sometimes you come in though, and I'm like, "What the hell are you cooking?" Because
Yeah,
man, you need to let me know when you're working next on that day. You know, like when we serving that again.
yeah, for sure. It's and then I think that helps me with the heat aspect as well because
Yeah,
I'm used to just being hot all the time, you know, and so when some people complain about the heat and how hot they are, I'm like, it's really not that bad.
yeah. No, it. I understand that it does get hot in the rooms and things, and just sometimes just ask your tech managers for fans. We can add fans to things. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a couple of our tech managers on the show here soon in the next couple episodes. But they'll tell you too. Just ask,
Yeah,
ask, and you shall receive. One day they weren't giving me enough smog in my room. I asked Sean, our tech manager. I was like, "Hey, can we get some more smog?" Next thing you know, the whole first floor was flooded with smog, and I was like, "That's even better." And obviously, it was too much, but so we toned it down a little bit.
and
But
let
you
them.
know, it was a simple fix. I asked for a table to be moved into a certain spot so I could jump off of it a certain way. And the next morning or the next night that I came in, it was moved and fixed. You know, so it's just it's simple stuff. Just
Yeah,
ask and
I feel that there's a mannequin we have upstairs that's on a table that sits up.
yeah,
I always like to jump on that table, and I was like, hey, you guys should reinforce this table because I can feel it's kind of sketchy, but it really helps me break up the groups because I'm able to get on the table and then get off the table efficiently,
yeah,
you know. And so yeah, they've braced it up and hasn't been sketchy ever since.
yeah. There was one time I jumped on some gurneys up in a medical room over at Fear or Haunted Mines when it was still over there before Fear Complex, and I jumped up on the gurney and the whole thing like slid across the floor, and I was like, "Whoa, let's tie all these down right now." So we started like hammering them down, you know, screwed them in and stuff, and I'm like, "Oh man, that was danger. That was a whole room of danger right there." I'm glad nobody else did that. Like, I'm glad that I did it and nobody else, like, because
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not prepared to take damage, you know, but I'm fully aware that I probably will if I'm testing things out. So I'd rather it be me than some of the other guys, you know,
right.
sometimes. And I'm like, is this going to
Yeah,
hurt
for sure.
me?
As
If it doesn't hurt me, then it's probably not going to hurt
yeah,
anybody
so
else.
someone who really gets into it, you know, I just expect
Yeah.
bumps and bruises all the time, you know.
Oh yeah.
I
And there's quite a few of us that
yeah,
every night you're like, so 12 new bruises? All right,
yeah.
cool.
And I think that, you know, it kind of plays into the realism a little bit if you do end up falling off of something or
Yeah.
hurting yourself because people are like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Was that supposed to happen?
And then, of course, you're going to have the customers that make fun of you, and then you look at them and you're like, uh-huh, and that's why you're a customer and I'm the actor,
Yeah,
and you don't get paid to do this, and you don't know what the hell you're talking about. Get out of my room.
for sure. I
You know,
mean,
and then you ignore them and move on.
yeah, the haunt industry's not for everyone.
No, it's definitely a lot of mean-spirited people coming through, yelling at you, telling you that you're crap, that you smell funny, and that you're cute. I don't understand the cute part because we look like we've been murdered 6 times over. But hey, to each their own. You know,
Hey, I mean, you know, there are women out there who do marry killers that are on death row,
I mean,
you know, and that's really wild to think about, you know.
yeah.
So maybe it has something to do with that, you know.
But I mean, the guy who's got like a knife sticking out of his head, and like, is that really the guy you want to bring home to mom? Like, Mom, look, I've got Zombie Bill.
Zombie Bill. Yeah, I mean, possibly
Yeah.
to each their own, you know.
I mean,
Sometimes you wonder.
I'm dating a haunter, so I can't
Yeah,
really say much.
yeah, you know. I always tell my girl the mask stays on, you know.
Yeah. Every time.
Yeah, that's right. No, that'd be terrible,
That
actually.
would be absolutely horrible.
Nasty.
Couldn't breathe. Hold on. I need a
It's like,
break.
do I smell like sweat?
Is it chainsaw?
Yeah.
Is this decayed body I
Yeah.
smell?
Maybe we should launch like a scent line.
Ooh,
You
I
know what
think,
I'm saying?
yeah, like a body scent.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So be like,
I
you
think
know,
I think we're onto something.
yeah.
Make a fra-
Rotting
All right,
corpses.
anybody out there that knows how to make fragrances, hit us up. Let us know. We need to make haunt fragrances.
Yeah, I know there's some stuff like that. There's like goth fragrances and stuff like
Yeah.
that. My girlfriend gets those. They're so expensive though.
The candles, there's all kinds of different
Yeah.
like haunty candles. I seen one the other day and I about pooped right in my panties. It was an imaginary friend candle in with the other goth candles. And I was like, no freaking way.
Imagine.
So I haven't bought it yet. I will be purchasing the imaginary friend candle. That was dear
Yeah.
to my heart
Can't.
because I haven't met another imaginary friend character yet, at least in the haunt industry.
Yeah,
So I'm waiting. I want to. I'm excited to hear their story and see what they come up with and how their imaginary land is.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of the thought behind this podcast is being able to sit down and talk to some of these actors that have an extensive backstory for their character, like
Yeah.
yourself. You have put a lot of time into developing your character and having a really extensive backstory, and that I think that's really cool. Myself, I'm not as like creative with the writing part and stuff like
Yeah.
that, so but I think that's really cool for the people that do that, that put that time in for that backstory. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. If you ever need help too. Also, I've been helping a couple of the other characters bring up their stories a little bit and kind of give them a little more meat and potatoes. Like they have great characters. They have a great idea. They have a nice story or a name for it. They just don't, like you said, they don't have that extra bits and pieces, which not everybody has to have that extra bits and pieces. But again, some of these theater kids that are coming through, and a lot of them are great actors and actresses, and they just need that little bit of oomph, And if I can help out with that, or you can help out with that, anybody on that matter.
For
And I'm
sure.
sure we're going to be talking to a few that have some super cool ideas as well, and amazing backstories because I can already think of like 4 or 5 that I'm like,
Yeah,
I know
for
some
sure.
people. I know
Yeah.
some people for sure.
Yeah, and I was a theater kid, in middle school and stuff like that, and it just never really did it for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, it just was not my thing. I was in a few plays, and it was never really my thing. And then once I found, the haunt industry, that's really was my thing.
Yeah,
I like the freedom.
that's how I was. I never really got into theater. I did like maybe one chorus before they gave us the option that you could not do it. And I was like, oh, cool. There's an option not to do these. Excellent. So I stopped doing those. I did play the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz one year. I think it was in middle school. I didn't sing. I just danced around and acted like an idiot because I had the flowy, goofy Scarecrow movements. So they were like, you just dance. We got another kid that'll sing. And I was like, perfect. So I did that one year. It was horrible. I hated it. I was like, nope, never again. I got into art real big, even more so than when I was a little kid, and then I just kind of rolled from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I said, I drove past that amusement park one day. I seen the ad on the billboard. I was working construction, and then I heard it on the radio that same day, and I was like, man, they're calling to me, and that's how it all got rolling from there. I was just like, yep, let's do this shit.
Yeah. And then once you're there, it's just like the funnest thing.
Yeah, I was like, man, this is really fun.
So what
Killing my body.
kind of character did you play your first year?
So like I said, I was a slider at an amusement park. So they kind of just tossed us a box of costumes and said pick something. And I
Oh
was like,
wow.
wow, that's very general. And they're like, yep. Also, you got to get your own pads. And I'm like, even better. This is the stupidest job I've ever had in my life. So I'm rummaging through the box, and I'm talking to some of the older guys, and they're telling me to get steel toe boots. They're telling me to get all these different types of knee pads and things. And like I said, I rollerbladed at the time, so I already knew about a couple pads that were like vert ramp pads and stuff. So I got those. That doesn't prepare you. Those vert pads do not help whatsoever on concrete and bricks. So any new sliders out there, make sure you're getting the right type of pad for what you're going to be sliding on.
Right.
That's a big key. But yeah, so I would strap coffee cans. So I had coffee cans strapped to my knees for a while. I would slide with those. Mostly it was just like jeans or shorts. I think I had striped tights that were 2 different colors because they didn't ever have a matching pair. It was just like one leg at a time. So I had like green and purple on one. I had a flannel shirt and then just real messed up makeup. And I wore like this real crap latex, like the old, like we were talking earlier, the spirit latex mask. I wore one of those. It was like a little clown mask thing, and I called myself what was it, Bumbles the clown or something along those lines, where literally I just fell and slid into things the entire time. And that's kind of how my first character was. He was just a big conglomerate mess.
That's cool. Yeah, my first years out at the rec district in Canyon City,
Yeah.
the haunted house is called Aftermath,
Okay.
and I played. There's like an old chicken coop, and so they had chickens and then a fence, and then I was there, and then another fence. So I was like a crazed like chicken guy my
Oh,
first
nice.
year, like talking to the chickens and plucking around. And I had a rubber chicken that I glued actual feathers. I went to Walmart or whatever and got super glue and feathers and was gluing feathers to this rubber chicken and throwing it around and putting it in my
Yes.
mouth, and
Perfect.
it was it was the best.
What is your favorite character you've played?
Um, Honestly, one of my favorite characters I played, I really liked doing Jumanji. That was a lot of fun. I liked the creative freedom of being half ape and half human.
Yeah.
I thought that was just so much fun, and the whole banana thing. And then there's a few nights where we do the special events and stuff like that. And because I'm an ape, apes are you think of an ape and you think apes are kind of silly,
Right.
right? And so I would get if the participant was wheeling, I would trade shoes with them with
Excellent.
a because I have a whole area,
Right.
and so every once in a while somebody would be willing, and I would trade a shoe with them, and I would get give their shoe back by the time they got through my area. But they're just like, what does he want with my shoe?
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, and yeah, the whole monkey thing was just a lot of nonsense.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I did I think my favorite one outside of Wizzo. Wizzo's obviously my favorite. He's the one I spent the most time on. He's the one I'm building the most of. But outside of him, I played a doctor at the same amusement park. It was a few years later. They put me in a room, and it was much like this, actually, with all the spooky, doodads and things. And we had a little electrical, like a shock wall that I would hit the wall and it would shock. That lasted all of about a week before that broke. Um, but I had hair at the time, so I would spike it up into like little pigtails everywhere, and I didn't
Dude,
and
that
I
would be
didn't have a
weird.
beard. Yeah, so I was completely opposite. All my hair was on my head instead of my face, and I had like little spikes everywhere, and it was probably the craziest looking thing ever. But I got to run around and just like I had a whole room that was just massive, and there was like a little wall I got to hide behind. I had a little foot pedal for a guy on a little guy in an electric chair that was shaking, and I don't know, it was just a ton of freedom, and I think that's where I was just like the happiest as a character. I hated playing a doctor, but it was fun being that free. You know what I mean? Because then I could like run up and do whatever weird thing I wanted to talk to them about, and then as they were leaving, I could hit the spark cage and then do that, or I could just be creepy and not talk the entire time and just follow them. It was a lot of freedom, a lot of good memories being a stupid little spiky haired doctor.
Yeah, it's the most fun.
Right?
So much fun.
Yeah. Um.
So
Crap.
yeah, I mean, I think we'll call this an episode. What do you think?
Yeah, I think
All right,
that's a good one for the first one. I
cool.
think, and
Yeah,
then we'll come back. Maybe have a special guest with us next time.
yeah. For
Yeah.
episode 2,
Heck yeah.
we'll introduce our guest then, and it's gonna be really cool to meet him
Yeah.
for
I'm
sure.
excited to see who it is.
All right,
Do you
cool.
know who it is? I don't
Yeah,
know who it
it's
is.
Jesse.
Oh shit. Oh, I like that guy. He's a
Yeah,
pretty nice guy.
yeah, it's Jesse. So
Yeah. Except when he talks, he's a terrible guy when he's talking. No, I'm kidding. I'm
yeah,
kidding.
but yeah, we'll introduce him and stuff on our next episode. Thanks for joining us for the first one.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks.